Welcome back to another episode of Please Call Me Crazy, brought to you by Free People Radio and powered by our favorite sponsor, TireGet.com. That's TireGet.com. You have to buy tires from somebody, you might as well buy them from us. Help support the movement, help fund the movement. We believe in the freedom of movement, and that's exactly what the establishment wants to take from you now. I'm your host, Royce White, here in the belly of the beast, Minneapolis, Minnesota. This is episode 174. The day is March 6th. Wednesday, March 6th, year of our Lord, 2024. The biggest news in America, in American politics, is Donald Trump's great victory on Super Tuesday, which doesn't shock any of us, really. I mean, certainly nobody I know is surprised that Donald Trump won the way he did across the country yesterday. In 15 primaries, he was victorious in 14 of them. And those two Nikki Haley wins, being D.C. and Vermont, not shocking either. I mean, at least not for me. I mean, if you know anything about Vermont's demographical makeup, it's that Ivy League, Upper East Coast Republican corridor. These people are Democrats. I'm just going to say it like it is. That's the reality. Vermont, I don't know what's going on with the people of Vermont. I know exactly what's going on, with the people in D.C. The corrupt uniparty, they're definitely afraid of Donald Trump. They're definitely afraid of the MAGA movement. They're afraid of the rise of a nationalist, populist American movement. They're afraid of America first. They're afraid that we, the people, that you out there in the audience, are going to get a seat back at the table if Donald Trump is reelected. And so, of course, to preserve the status quo, they'll take anybody. It really doesn't matter who. Anybody who was opposing Donald Trump, they would have voted for. And these are your highly educated, well-informed, well-read thought leaders of American politics. The D.C. vote is really a telltale sign. I mean, as soon as I saw it, I just thought to myself, well, yeah, there's the story of America's politics right there in a nutshell. The people vote one way. Our political elites, the permanent political class, they vote another way. But Donald Trump was successful, and that's a good sign. In shocking news, this was a bit more shocking, that in Minnesota, Donald Trump got more primary votes than Joe Biden. Donald Trump beat Joe Biden in primary votes by about 35,000 votes. And the disheartening news is that Nikki Haley got 70,000 votes in the primary here in Minnesota. Obviously, there's a cohort here in Minnesota that, much like the Ivy League, the sort of Ivy League Upper East Coast corridor Republicans there in Vermont, have a similar affliction, schism of the brain. And I don't know what we're going to do about that. I don't know what we're going to do about that. But I can tell you what MSNBC plans to do. They plan to finally pull the mask off of the entire uniparty scam and make sure that the Ron DeSantis and Nikki Haley supporters vote Democrat. When Donald Trump ran last time, it was accounts like Republicans for Joe Biden or Republicans against Donald Trump. They always make it about Donald Trump. It's got nothing to do with Donald Trump. I mean, that's an absolute lie. There's a few people, in my life message and say, well, why can't Trump do this? Or why can't he do that? Or, he's still showing immaturity, blah, blah, blah. It's got nothing to do with Donald Trump. Their disdain has nothing to do with Donald Trump's personal character. It's got nothing to do with Donald Trump's past. It has nothing to do with Donald Trump's temperament. They have a disdain for the ideas that they're trying to throw on Donald Trump's character. They're trying to scapegoat on Donald Trump's character. It's the ideas they don't like. And what we have to get very clear about right here in this moment of American history, of our nation's history, there are some ideas that are not easy to convey, that are not comfortable to convey. They shouldn't be comfortable to convey. In fact, there is no polite way to say it. Some of these ideas have such ideological opposition. There is no polite way to go about it. There is no polite way to say it. There is no easy answer. There is no easy solution. All of that is behind us. All the easy answers are behind us. And some of us seem to think maybe it's just hard for us to believe that a more logical and sane approach should be more acceptable to more people. Maybe we just can't get ourselves there. Maybe we just can't get our minds wrapped around that some people just want to see this country burn. Some people want to see this country destroyed. Or they don't care one way or another, which is the same net result. Some people just want to see a nation burn. Some people want to burn themselves. As sick and twisted as that is, some people don't really care. Some people have a spirit of self-destruction, and they'll take everybody else down with them, as many people as they can. Some of these things there's no polite way to handle. And certainly the fundamental ideas that Donald Trump represents, it's not about Donald Trump. Anybody who gained the type of momentum and traction and had the celebrity and influence and sort of gravity in American politics that Donald Trump has, anybody with the same ideas would face the same sort of persecution. Anybody. And for a while, it was DeSantis. He didn't have the same gravity. He didn't have the same juice. But he was trying to, at least, project some of the similar ideas. In fact, he tried to promote himself and outflank Donald Trump to the right, so to speak, on certain issues. At least that was the angle of his campaign. And he faced the same type of criticism that Donald Trump is facing. Sometimes the criticism was even more, was bigger, louder with certain issues. Now he was never the threat Donald Trump was, so he didn't face that type of focus from the establishment of the propaganda because he wasn't as big of a threat. He was never a big threat. As long as Donald Trump is on the field, DeSantis is just a light version. Didn't have the juice. Nikki Haley has no juice whatsoever, except the remainder of the Republican Rhino neocon establishment and all the people who follow them. And some Democrat crossovers. I don't know who's voting for Nikki Haley. I've said it about 6, 7 shows in a row. I'll keep saying it until I'm blue in the face. I don't know who's voting for Nikki Haley, honestly. But I know those are the people that are causing us a problem, a big problem, and they've been doing it the whole time. This isn't new. This isn't a revelation. Those people have been there the whole time. They've been doing this the whole time. And it's not about the candidates. It really isn't. This is about the ideas. This is about the idea of being America first. This is about the idea of citizenship, the value of citizenship. This is about the ideas of self-governance, of governing a country with some resemblance of Christian faith. with giving each and every American citizen a real stake in the game, meaning that we're not going to sell you out and trade away all of all of our nation's wealth and prosperity to global agendas that mean nothing, that give us nothing. They give us nothing. $6 trillion we're trying to teach Afghanis, gender theory. Give me a break. And that's why I started with the video I did. $6 trillion we spend in Afghanistan. We're trying to teach the Afghani people gender theory. Now you can fence it as women's rights. Oh, we're trying to teach their women that they can be free, and listen, it's not our job to free everybody all over the world. It's not our job to bend the arc of history. We're getting a little beside ourselves already, thinking that we're our ego. They think Trump is the arrogant one. We want to go and change an ancient culture and an ancient an ancient part of the world and infuse them with our beliefs. And beliefs that really are somewhat antithetical to their own. It's not our job. It's not our job. And these Democrats, man, they are brazen. Oh, they are so brazen about it. They think we're stupid. And I usually get down on the rhinos and the conservatives and the neocons, and we'll take a break from that today. These Democrats are brazen as fuck. Oh man, you people think we're stupid, don't you? You really do. And the insult to the insult to my intelligence and the insult to the intelligence of your average everyday American citizen is the exact sole source of my will to get up every day and fight you motherfuckers. That right there, it did not even further than that. How stupid you think the American people are is exactly why I'll fight you until the very end. There's nothing more despicable, there's nothing more disgusting than how brazen these people have become. Throwing the corruption right in your face. They think you're stupid. We want a border. We want a secure border. We want to have a country that has a border. We want to be a country, and that makes us racist or xenophobic. Black people, huh? Black people that say we don't want unlimited illegal immigrants coming into our country and thus into our communities, and that makes us xenophobes. That makes us what? Uneducated pawns of propaganda and conspiracy from the far right. That makes us Nazis. Just go ahead and say it. Yet you all want to fund a country, a satellite country, the former USSR, that actually has Nazi influence, that actually has Nazi culture in their recent history. It's not ancient history; it's a recent history. Yeah, the Slavic culture is an ancient culture, but the Nazi culture there in Ukraine is a recent history. Operation Paperclip, did it ever end? I don't know. What are we sending money to a Nazi country for? What are we honoring Nazi generals at the Canadian Parliament? Why would a Five Eyes country be honoring a Nazi general? But we're the Nazis because we want to have a country. And you think we're that stupid. You actually think we're that dumb. And you know what? I'll give it to you. Some people are that dumb. But we're going to see just how many are and how many aren't. And what I do know, although I realize there are a lot of people who are that dumb, and there may even be enough people who are that dumb The clock is ticking. The clock is started and the clock is ticking. And slowly but surely, people are figuring it out. And they will continue to figure it out. In fact, there is no stopping. There is no stopping the rise of a realization that what has been sold to the American people, what has been given to the American people, what has been pushed on the American people in terms of propaganda is exactly that. There is nothing, you Democratic liberal puppets, Democratic liberal order puppets, there is nothing you people can do to stop the rise of the awareness that this country and the value of our citizenship means something, and having a border means something, that a nation riddled with debt, it means something, that being involved in forever wars, it means something. There's nothing that you can do that will stop the rise of that awareness. All you can do is try and up the ante, and I know they will. I know you will. The MSNBCs of the world, the Joyanne Reeds, the Rachel Maddows, the Mika Brzezinskis and Cuck Joes and everybody else in between. They won't come right out and say it. They won't come right out and say it. But they know that the ass will fall off the donkey eventually. And the scary part is it may all be a part of their plan. That's a real possibility. That the ass falling off the donkey here in America may be a part of their plan. When you see a Victoria Nuland resign, when you see a Victoria Nuland up and resign, something's going on there. Somebody's getting nervous. Moves are being made. Decisions are being made. I'm sure she'll come up with some reason, but I mean, we're in the heart of a war that she ran point on. Victoria Nuland ran point. And if you need a greater example of the sort of uniparty politics that happen in this country, you need not look further than Victoria Nuland, who's the wife of Bob Keegan, trusted and respected conservative intellectual. You know, that's who these people are. That's who these people are. That is the uniparty right there. That's the old Bonnie and Clyde of international post World War II Democrat liberal order and a war with Russia, an obsession with Russia, globalism, globalism writ large. Bob Keegan and Victoria Nuland. Well, Victoria Nuland resigns. All their rhino puppets are running for the hills. Mitch McConnell, he's out. Mitt Romney, he's out. Kevin McCarthy, out. And it'll continue to happen. The rise is on. The MAGA movement is ascending. There's nothing these Democrats can do to slow it. There's nothing they can do. They can try and slow it down. They can try and postpone it, but the truth is coming. The truth is here. We see it. We see the agenda. I mean, even more so. What would make you so? I mean, I know you have no humility. It's people who don't believe in God, people who have no faith, they have no sacred honor. They tend to struggle with humility. And when you struggle with humility, you have no choice but to be arrogant and egotistical and sort of detached from reality in the context of other people. So of course they think they can smuggle an agenda like normalizing pedophilia right in with what, the Ukraine war? Just like gender theory was smuggled in with the Afghanistan war. And it was smuggled in, and we did do that. We did that. We tried to change the polity there in Afghanistan. Didn't work. We tried to change the polity there in Iraq. Didn't work. We're still trying to change the polity there in the Middle East, and I don't think it'll work. And I don't think that the leaders there in the Middle East are as religious or as committed or fundamentalist as some people would like to promote them as. But somewhere in there, there is a very real element of religious, religious faith, religious practice. Even if I don't agree with it, I have to understand that it exists. And so wherever that is, at that level, it's a holy war. But above that, it's not. Above that, we're playing politics. You think we're dumb? You think I'm stupid? You think I'm stupid enough to believe that we're protecting Israel on a holy basis, yet we send $6 billion to Iran? Or we send uh, trillions of dollars to China that gets funneled back through Iran? Or we send money to Russia for oil or whatever other resource that we need there in Russia before this whole war kicked off. We were doing business with Russia. The whole international community was doing business with Russia. They knew who Vladimir Putin was well before he ever went into Ukraine. I mean, they already took Crimea, so I mean, it's not like this isn't a shock. The Ukraine wasn't a shock to anybody who was paying attention. But we've given money to Russia. We've given Russia money to Russia that makes its way back to Syria, that makes its way to who? I don't, Hezbollah. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how the money's getting. I mean, I know where we sent money to. I can see that with clear eyes. We send money to Egypt. We send money to Iran. We send money to the Emiratis and the Qataris and, so on and so forth. We're on every side of the trade there in Israel. But then you want me to believe that we're going to go to war and protect Israel on a holy basis. People who don't even believe in God. If it's a holy war, then it's a holy war. If it's politics, then it's politics. Love is love. Viral is viral. Love is love. Viral is viral. If we're going to fight a righteous and divine war, it better be righteous and divine. Right now, that's not the case. We got three sort of factions brewing, and me and Professor Penn are going to talk about this, I think, for this week's episode of Hebrews on Friday. But we got three sort of factions brewing here. The globalists, these international political elites who use war, perpetual war, as a justification to steal your money. They use it as a racket. And you got free people all around the world that believe in human rights and freedom and self-governance and in many places believe in Christ and have some sense of sacred honor. And then you have this sort of evil uh, counter movement that's also anti-institution and anti-globalist. But they kind of play both sides of the fence, and you can't tell if they're controlled opposition or if they're genuine rebellion and opposition. And I'm talking about the movement that claims the belief and faith in God, yet straps a bomb to their chest and will kill innocent people. And there is a real element of that out there. Or takes women and children as hostages. This sort of perverted, sick justification of rebellion. Rebellion with no rules. If there are no rules, if you have no standards, if you have no morals, it doesn't matter how oppressed you are, you're no better than your oppressor. Does that mean that you should accept tyranny? Does that mean you should accept oppression and slavery, injustice? No. No, those two statements, those two statements aren't necessarily, uh, you know, those two statements don't have to be. Two things can be true at the same time. You could be oppressed, and you could also be somebody who goes about fighting for freedom in a way that's not honorable. And this is why being a Christian is hard. It calls you to do both things. It calls you to be honorable. It calls you to tell the truth, to bear witness, to rebuke and refute. It calls you to be persecuted for his name and his namesake, but it also calls you to do it with some integrity. And you Democrats have no clue how to do that. These Democrats they have no plans to do it. They're not even going to pretend like they want to do it. They're not even going to pretend like they're interested in your salvation, in your moral ledger, in your spirit. They're not even going to pretend like they are. In fact, when they get a chance, they're going to poke fun and mock you. They're going to mock you for your faith. They're going to mock you for talking about morals and ethics. They're going to talk about down ballot candidates, down ballot election. What are we talking about? Oh, Donald Trump's gonna hurt down ticket. Get the fuck out of here. Okay, go fuck yourself with all of your mathematical, moral, strategic justification. Get the fuck out of here. The only thing Donald Trump is hurting is the post World War II Democrat liberal order. The facade, the facade that democracy is being spread all around the planet to the betterment of humanity. And that there's no negative impact or negative cost. That's what he's hurting. You people that keep thinking we're going to win with some polite solution, there is no polite way to say we don't want to be Satanists. We don't want to be a Luciferian country. We don't want to be a country that is beholden to China, or a country that's beholden to Brussels, or a country that's beholden to anybody else out there. We want to be a country that's independent, that's self-governing, that has sovereignty. There's no polite way to say that to people who have already shown you that their entire life's work is committed to selling you out. There's no way to say that these sellouts don't deserve to be in power. Because as soon as you say it, as soon as you go right to the root issue, what the sellouts do, the sellouts' go-to move is to turn the entire conversation into a conversation about character and morals and personal flaws. And that's a smart thing to do. Because any good Satanist, any Satanist worth their salt, any Luciferian worth their salt, knows that man is fallen, that no man is perfect. So it's easy to start from the place where we're going to dig into every single person's past, and a non-starter will be if anything in their past doesn't line up with their present or what they say they want for the future. And it's not even that it doesn't line up. More importantly, that it distracts. And that's what this attack on Donald Trump has become. That's what the Democrats are trying to do. That's what they're doing that should really insult your intelligence. Bill Clinton had more sexual scandal and misconduct than any president in American history. You didn't see them calling for his head. I mean, at one point, some people were calling for his head. I'm not saying they weren't, but they didn't attack Bill Clinton with the type. People still believe Bill Clinton was a great president. People will still say that they like Bill Clinton. They love Bill Clinton. And I'm talking about people within the establishment. I'm not talking about voters. I'm talking about people there in D.C. Love the Clintons. Clintons got so much juice, it's scary. They got so much juice and so much money, it's absolutely horrifying. That you could build up that type of war chest. I mean, but it shouldn't shock us. Being a sellout pays. That shouldn't shock you. Being a sellout is profitable. That's why the Clinton Foundation is as big as it is, was because they're building mosquito nets in Western Africa. Give me a break. Give me a break. They kill Muammar Gaddafi. You know, I don't give a shit how many mosquito nets they put in Africa. I don't care how many how many pallets of ivermectin they put in Africa. And then they try and tell us it's a dangerous drug. They let the FDA call it horse paste and horse drugs when they know far more humans have taken the drug successfully with no adverse side effects than animals. It's considered a wonder drug. Won a Nobel Prize for being a wonder drug. right up there with aspirin and penicillin. As soon as it doesn't fit the narrative, as soon as it doesn't fit the conventional narrative or the mainstream accepted narrative, all of a sudden we're all conspiracy theorists. Okay. I mean, you would think, at least if you're going to falsely paint us out as conspiracy theorists, you Democrats, you would think you'd do better to come up with something that doesn't have such such a huge amount of evidence to say otherwise. On the contrary, there's so much contrary evidence. But that's the brazenness. That's how stupid they think you are. They think you won't go look it up. They don't even, they've given you access to all the information in the world, and they're so brazen. They're so arrogant. They think they're so smart and you so stupid. They don't even think you'll go look it up. They're not hiding the truth. The truth about ivermectin isn't hidden. It's just hidden from it's just hidden from you in particular. You're probably unable to find it. You out there in the audience. Maybe, not all of you. Some of you know exactly what I'm talking about, but I try and speak to people who've never heard me before. On the off chance this is your first time listening. It's you in particular that they think won't look. It's not that the evidence isn't there, that it's hidden. It's not hidden. Anybody can Google the successful administration of ivermectin. Ivermectin's such a safe drug. Ivermectin's such a safe drug. They actually teach people and trust people to use it in settings that have no medical professional experience. I mean, it's administered by local people who are strictly volunteer. That's how safe it is. Yeah, cures river blindness. Yeah, cures parasitic disease, of course. That's its primary use. And it's done wonders for the people in Africa, ironically. Clintons and all of these people, their claim to fame is always when it comes to black people, colored people. The Democrats' claim to fame is protecting black people, protecting colored people from the scourge of white supremacy or from the tragedy of injustice and economic disparity. That's their claim to fame. But one of the most impactful drugs in the history of continental Africa gets besmirched on a global stage at a global scale because it doesn't fit the narrative. Now, you tell me, Africa, people of Africa, sons and daughters of Africa, you tell me who your friends are, who your enemies are. I don't care how many mosquito nets they build you. And I bring up ivermectin because that's one of the clear examples from this last 4 years that was just completely and utterly insulting. It was insulting. I'm serious. I'm insulted. I'm insulted for you. It disgusts me. It angers me, but it has to anger you more than it does me. That they think they can lie to you at that level. Just outright lie. That was one. That was a crazy one. What about Mayor de Blasio coming out and bribing poor people, poor people to get a burger, fries, and a shake with their vaccine? I mean, as if trying to bribe people, poor people in the city of New York, as if trying to bribe people with free food wasn't already uh, uh, just scummy enough. Because that's what I mean. It's a scumbag thing to do, and they did it with a smile. They did it with that sort of arrogant smile on their face. They didn't have any. I mean, they were almost gloating about it. Like, look at this fucking idea. Let them eat cake. I don't know if that history is. I don't know if that history escapes some of you people. Marie Antoinette, the elites, let them eat cake there in France. Here's a fucking cheeseburger. Here's a cheeseburger, fries, and a shake. Get your vaccine. Get your vaccine with the cheeseburger, fries, and a shake. Not only is it just a scummy ass thing to do to try and bribe people with fast food? But it's fast food. I mean, it would you see what I'm saying? It would have at least fit the narrative that they're even remotely interested in the well-being of the American people. Had they said, "Hey, come get a free salad with your vaccine. come come and get some fresh squeezed apple juice. With your vaccine, come and get some nice salmon and spinach and a nice well balanced, hearty, health promoting meal with your. Here's a cheeseburger, some French fries, and a shake. It's like a parody. It really is. It really is like a parody. The things that people are willing to do and the things people believe you will buy is absolutely horrifying. None worse than the Democrats. The Democrats, Amy Klobuchar, for example, is a perfect example. Another perfect example. Amy Klobuchar, she'll try and reap all the political capital she can from talking about black people, from pandering to the LGBTQ and everyone else about justice, about fairness and equality. But as lead district attorney, she was involved in 3 cases of which the prosecutors the prosecutors engaged in certain practices that ultimately led to the reversals of the convictions of 3 black men wrongly convicted. Wrongly convicted. Amy Klobuchar is responsible for 3 wrongful convictions of black men. Yet black people are going to vote for her because she's a Democrat? It's an insult. It's an insult to you. And if you participate, you insult yourself. So when you're willing to insult yourself, when you're willing to let people insult your intelligence in that way, I have trouble believing that you are so passionate, that you are so disrespected by the rhetoric of Donald Trump. You're disrespectful to yourself. In fact, you're disrespectful to yourself at a level way, way beyond anything Donald Trump has said or done. The lies we're willing to tell ourselves are often much greater and much more grave, uh, much more wounding to our own psyche, to our own spirit, in some cases to our own body than anything anybody else would say against us. The lies we tell ourselves. Because the lies you tell yourselves are the ones you have to live with every day. Those are the ones that you can't escape. Those are the ones that you have to deal with. The things others say against you, you can run from. You can distance yourself from. You can disconnect from that. The lies you tell yourselves are the lies you have to live with every day. Those are the wounds you have to live with every day. And I think we in the black community and for a long time in the black community, we've lived with the lie that the expansion of federal government is going to be a net positive for us, that social programs are great. Social programs are great. We want more social programs. We want more trickle down from the Democrat tea. We want the Democrats to you know give us little breadcrumbs. We want the breadcrumb plan. We're a breadcrumb community. We put $2 trillion of cash. We pump $2 trillion of cash into this economy every single year. $2 trillion cash. $2 trillion buying base for the black community in America. And we want breadcrumbs in return. I mean, we talk about equity. But of course, it's social equity. It's not economic equity because in order to have economic equity, you'd have to have assets. We want equity, but we'll take social equity, breadcrumb. We'll take welfare, breadcrumb. We'll take Medicaid, breadcrumb. We'll take Section 8 housing, big breadcrumb. We'll take food stamps, bread. I mean, you know, we'll take affirmative action, breadcrumb. And I'm not saying that all of these things aren't needed, but what I am saying is if we were being American, if we were the America we should be, and if black people in this country would just get off of the plantation, get off the teat, like we're starting to do now, we got a real shot at prosperity. We have a real shot at self-governance. We have a real shot at freedom. Some of our most iconic heroes in Black history, we're just coming off of Black History Month. Well, some of the most iconic figures of Black history, some of the most iconic figures in Black history fought for one purpose: freedom. But we have to make sure our idea of freedom is actually freedom. We have to make sure that we understand what freedom means. We understand how freedom functions. And in order to understand how works, in order to understand how freedom functions, you got to understand what being a slave means. You got to understand what being oppressed means, what tyranny looks like. And I think we have a problem with that. We think oppression is the KKK, bunch of white men putting on sheets over their head with their eyes cut out and terrorizing black people for their color. We still have this caricature. And it's promoted and promulgated by the mainstream media ad nauseum, nonstop. I got an entirely different view of tyranny. I got an entirely different view of oppression, of injustice. Oppression is sending your citizens tax money to a country that puts 2 million people in concentration camp for nothing other than expressing their faith, practicing their faith, praying, being them. We sent money to China to help build China into what it is today, and they turned around and did they become more American? Did they become more tolerant? Did they become less authoritarian? Did they become more free? We spent all this time and energy and resources and money on the Democrat liberal order, but the number one place, the number one sign of our failure isn't Afghanistan. It's not Iraq. It's not Ukraine or Russia. It's not Israel and Palestine. The number one example of our failure is China. China's become the world's largest economy, and there's not a stitch of fucking democracy in the whole damn place. The whole damn place is unanimously run by authoritarian dictator. And we all bend the knee. That's oppression. It's not only oppression of the people there in East Turkestan or the Uyghurs. It's not only the oppression of the Lao Baijing, the old hunter names. It's not just the oppression of the Chinese people. It's the oppression of you. You're being oppressed by them, by the CCP, by the Chinese Communist Party, through the Chinese people, through the wage, the wage and labor, injustices there in China. You're being oppressed through them. You're a proxy of oppression. We don't even have to get to how you're being oppressed. You're tied into oppression by proxy. Injustice. You want to talk about injustice? There's nothing more unjust. There's nothing more unjust than illegal immigrants, which I guess is a dirty word. We don't call them illegal immigrants. What do you call them? What the fuck you want to call them? They're immigrating here illegally. That makes you an illegal immigrant. Fucking what am I I'm gonna call them something else? There's nothing more unjust than an illegal immigrant coming to this country and getting a $5,000 visa, getting transported to whatever part of the country they want to, and then getting government aid. There's nothing more unjust than that. You can talk about justice. Is that justice? Economic injustice? Is that just? You talk about tyranny? You want to talk about tyranny? Tyranny is taxing the American people until the ego screams. And that's what they're doing. They're taxing the American people until the ego scream. The eagle is screaming, taxing us, and then telling us that everybody else's security should be our number one priority. You want to be free. Freedom comes at a cost. Usually the cost is convenience. You got to give up a little bit of convenience to be free. And you have to give up that convenience. If you don't give up the convenience, there are dangers and risks that come from living on your own, being independent, being self-governing. When they say going off the grid, going off the grid comes at a cost. Living free comes at a cost. The freedom of movement, the freedom of representation, the freedom of economy. These things come at a certain cost. Sometimes danger, sometimes not. But it all comes at a cost. There is a cost. Freedom has a price. The price of freedom is death. Thomas Jefferson said it. Malcolm X said it. Does that mean you have to die to be free? No, that's not what it means. But you have to be prepared to die if necessary. It's like Bruce Lee said, you want to learn the way to win, but never to accept the way to lose. To accept defeat, to learn to learn to die is to be liberated from it. He told him, you must free your ambitious mind and learn the art of dying. We have not yet learned that art. The Democrats know that art. They know that art well. They've accepted the way to lose. They've accepted the way to lose in the eternal. They're willing to throw it all. They're willing to throw it all down for a result right here, right now. That's freedom. Now, it's a perverse, sick, wicked, and twisted form of freedom. But there's a certain freedom in that, isn't there? I mean, that's kind of their pitch. Anything goes. Do as thou will. That's their pitch. Do as you will. Whatever you want to do, however you want to do it, do it. Ask questions later. Judge it morally later. Do what you will. We're going to normalize pedophilia now. Hey, minor attracted persons, MAPs, just another sexual identity and gender. That's it. Nothing criminal about it. There's nothing morally abhorrent about it. It's just another way to identify. Well, guess what? I got here's my identity. Fuck you, Democrat, Satanist motherfuckers. That's how I want to identify. And I'd like to be acknowledged that way. If you be so kind. I identify as a person who is categorically right on terms of geopolitics and domestic politics. And I also identify as somebody who as a black man finds it insulting that you LGBTQ advocates would actually try and shove your agenda down the throats of young black men and tell them to cut their penis off, which in turn would result in a lessening of black reproduction, which in turn would mean that black lives really don't matter that much. See, the whole key to a life mattering is to have a sort of sanctity of life. There has to be a reverence for life. There has to be, you have to see life as valuable. As soon as you start to say things like, you cut your penis off and become a girl, and there's no problem with that. Yes, there is. There is a problem with that. I don't live for me. There's a narcissism to it. There's an arrogance to it. There's a sort of an ego problem with it. And increasingly, there's the number of people who just accept the narrative that we shouldn't have kids. Oh, don't bring kids into the world because the world's so scary. Don't bring kids into the world because it's bad for the environment. Don't bring kids into the world because they're too expensive. All these fucking radical materialist excuses why you shouldn't do the thing that you were that you were engineered to do. Your body was engineered to reproduce. And this is all a rejection. This is all a rejection of God. I mean, it really does boil down to that. And if there's one thing that pisses me off the most, and that there's one thing that insults my intelligence more than anything, it's that you fucking liberals and Democrats actually think you can take God and use God to shame me? You think you can use Jesus Christ to shame me? You think you can get your rhino and neocon, co-conspirators to wrap themselves in the cloth of Christ and use that to shame me? I had a guy here in Minnesota say that Donald Trump supporters, we get all uncomfortable whenever a superior conservative is on the ticket. Christians don't talk like that. Christians don't talk about superiority. We don't talk about moral superiority, especially not when referencing one man versus another. Men don't talk about being superior to one another when you're Christian. But a lot of these 501c3 rhinos think that way. And and if you talk about where white supremacy stemmed from, real genuine white supremacy, the same white supremacy that they carried there in Ukraine, where we so conveniently are obsessed with sending our money, that's where supremacy stems from. Is this sense of superiority, whether it's moral superiority, whether it's genetic superiority, whether it's intellectual superiority, whatever it is. And it's the same cohort of people. And you'll find that a lot of them are Democrats. And they are. They are. Nikki Haley, she's a fucking Democrat. And we don't even have to do the labels. There's globalists and nationalists. There's Satanists and there's Christians. There's people who believe and there's people who don't. And if you want to even broaden it out, because there are people who aren't Christian, and I still count them as allies in the fight. I'm not saying that you have to be Christian, but there are people who have sacred honor and there are people who don't. There are people who believe in a higher good. There are people who believe in higher power and a higher good, and there are people who believe in do whatever you want. Who are you? Who are you? Who are you going to be? Who are you going to stand with now? That's the question. That's what it's coming down to. Who are you going to stand with now? What side of the line are you on? I feel good on my side of the line. I feel comfortable on this side. I really do. I don't feel any shame. I don't feel any embarrassment. I know that the never Trumpers will say that the people who follow Trump right now are going to look back and be what did David Frum say? David Frum said that we would be remembered as shameful and disgraceful, and that our families would our future generations would look back and you know I forgot exactly what he said, but something like they would look back and be ashamed. Is it shameful to want to have a country with borders? Is it shameful not to want to put my future generations in debt to run up a credit in their name, in the name of America as a nation, in the name of American citizens who aren't even born yet? We're gonna run up a credit on the full faith of them and their work and their time and their energy to do what? To go defend Nazis on a border there in Ukraine? I'm going to be ashamed. Me, a black man. I'm going to be ashamed because I don't want to associate with Nazis? Really? I'm going to be ashamed because I don't want to be involved in forever wars? Well, I'm not ashamed. I can say that with 100% surety. With 100% certainty, I can say that with 100% clarity. I am not ashamed. Mika Brzezinski and Cuck Joe and all these other pundits, and you could bring Joyanne Reed out and you could wheel out the white woman's wig hairpiece. You know, none of that matters. None of that moves me. Increasingly, it's not moving other people as well. You're seeing a lot of the public figures, celebrities, start to change their tune. They don't have to admit who it. They don't have to say where they got it from. They don't have to say where it came from. It doesn't matter who gets the credit, as long as the job gets done. See, I never got into politics or podcasting to get credit. It's not about credit. I don't need credit. I was me well before politics. I was me well before any of this stuff even was really up on the bar, up on the table. Hell, I've been me since the third grade. I've been me since kindergarten. I've been the natural born leader I am. I've been the person who people gravitate to and want to listen to and want to talk to about their problems and get advice from and the guy that's reliable, the guy that's considered a foxhole guy. I've been that guy since I was a little kid. And that's what's important. Are you reliable? It's like being an athlete, being a good teammate. Do what your teammates expect. Are you reliable? Can your teammates depend on your effort? Can they depend on your attitude? Can they depend on your emotional stability? Can they depend on you to give it everything you got? Can they depend on you to sacrifice your own fame, glory, your own points, scoring, your own whatever it is for the betterment of the team, for the betterment of the unit? It's like being in a unit in the military, law enforcement, whatever it is. Will you sacrifice for the greater good? And a huge part of that is what humanity is about. This global agenda isn't for a greater good. And we got to stop letting these people lie to us. It's for their good. It's not for us. It's not for the people of Minnesota. It's not for the people of Kansas. It's not for the people of Florida. It's not for the people of Virginia. It's not for the people anywhere in this country. It's not for the people of Central and South America. It's not for the people of Mexico. It's not for the people there in China. It ain't for the people there in Ukraine. Hell, they promulgated a war and they've killed hundreds of thousands of Ukrainians already. And there's not even a shred of peace talks. In fact, they publicly deny peace talks. We'll kill as many Ukrainians as we need to. We'll sacrifice as many Ukrainians as we need to. I reject it. I reject these Democrats and these liberals. I reject it. I reject their neocon, rhino co-conspirators. I reject globalism. I reject, and I for damn sure reject this idea that Luciferianism and Satanism should be normalized. What the fuck kind of racket is that? We're going to normalize Luciferianism and Satanism, the Satanic Temple? And I see all you weird chicks online with the little neon light devil horns on and you got Satan tattoo, you got demons tattooed on you and shit. And the Ice Spices, you're wearing the crosses upside down at the Super Bowl and you're hanging out with Taylor Swift and, I don't know what kind of weird satanic cosplay you fucking mooks are into. But there is a holy war. I'm not saying there's not a holy war. I'm just saying the holy war isn't there in Israel. And if there is a holy war, and I'm not saying there's not a holy war taking place in Israel, because there's a holy war going on all over the world. But it's not the war that the military industrial complex is benefiting from. I can tell you that. That ain't where the holy war is being fought. The holy war is being fought right there in your local PTO, at your local school board, right there at your local city hall. Right there at your local city hall. That's where the holy war is. Right there in your local BPOU, where officers of the Republican Party say we have too many Bible thumpers in the Republican Party. We got too many of these radical Christians. That's where the holy war is. The holy war is there at Fox News, where they wrap themselves in the cloth of Christ and try and present themselves as conservatives, but then they punt and refuse to rebuke and refute on the most important issues of our time. They refuse to bear witness. Can't talk about election integrity. Alpha News, that's where your holy war is. Absolutely. Now, is your holy war at the headquarters of the LGBTQ movement as well? Absolutely. No doubt about it. Do American citizens have the right to have sex with who they want and practice? Absolutely, they do. Absolutely. I told Bryson this one time on Fearless with Jason Whitlock. We're not going to start rolling out sexual courts. We don't want to give the government any more power than they have now. It's not for the government to be the arbiter of all spiritual matters. It's not for the government to force people to love God and be Christian through fiat. It's through free will. But we certainly don't need to let the government become openly satanic. And that's what it's become. It really has. And there's a difference. And you got to be able to distinguish between the two and be comfortable distinguishing between the two. We can't legislate Christianity. We can't force people to love God. We can't force people to submit to God. We can't force people to be Christian. To believe in Christ, we can't force people to do that through legislation, through fiat. But we for damn sure don't have to let our government be openly and publicly run by Satanists. Transgenderism? Now transgenderism becomes pedophilia? And we told you they were coming for your kids. We've been saying it. And they said it was conspiracy theory. And I'll show you the video again at the end of the episode here, 15 seconds of a woman just casually talking about the minor attracted people's gender identity. It's not a fucking gender identity to be attracted to little kids. Are you kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me? It's disgusting. It's disgusting. We all know it's disgusting. The question is, what are we going to do about it? Well, it's already begun. Donald Trump gets more primary votes than Joe Biden here in Minnesota, a state that they say, it's not in play. It's not in play. It's not in play. It's deep blue. You can never win there. We don't know what the fuck could happen now. But I know one thing. All of these people who say, get the fuck out of here. Your fucking pessimism and your nihilism and your controlled opposition negativity. Get the fuck out of here. We don't know what's going to happen now. What we do know is a lot of the people who say that we can't win in certain places like Karl Rove just coincidentally happen to support the same neocon rhino establishment that we've been fighting against in this MAGA movement. We know that. That we know. That we can see. That is clear as day with a mountain of evidence. The people who tend to tell us where and when we should fight tend to be the same people who vote for Nikki fucking Haley. who are never Trumpers. I'm thinking we're starting to be able to see a distinguishing line between us and them. And I don't mean to other them, right? We don't want to other anybody, but y'all are some other motherfuckers, some other type of motherfuckers. I don't trust people who tell us we can't win when the nation is on fire. Don't tell me we can't win. Don't tell me Amy Klobuchar is not beatable when Donald Trump gets more primary votes than Joe Biden does. Don't tell me Amy Klobuchar is invincible. Amy Klobuchar is invincible. If Amy Klobuchar is the moniker of invincibility here in American politics, we all deserve to be slaves. We all deserve to die. We all deserve to be drugged up zombies under some technocracy. We don't deserve freedom of speech. We don't deserve freedom of expression, a free press. We don't deserve any of that. If you trade your security for freedom, if you trade your freedom for security, you deserve neither, you will have neither. And it's not just Amy Klobuchar, but it's the entire modus operandi of these status quo purveyors of the corrupt status quo. Oh, Donald Trump can't win. Look how he's doing with white suburban women. That's what matters. Oh, fuck, get the fuck out of here. That's what matters. What matters is telling the fucking truth. And if you think that we can win without telling the truth, and if you think we can tell the truth without it getting a little contentious, if you think that you can tell the truth when you're rebuking and refuting Satanists and Luciferians and fucking corrupt crony capitalists, global cosmopolitan omnisexuals, if you think there's a polite way to do that, you're kidding yourself. You're the immature one, not Donald Trump, not me. Me saying the word cuck isn't immature. Me saying the word cuck on X isn't 1/100th as immature as you believing that we're going to win this fight without any confrontation, whether it be physical or intellectual. You think that we're going to be intellectually passive, intellectual pacifists, and we're going to win this fight? You're not even really getting your hands dirty in a literal sense. You're scared to get your hands dirty in the abstract. In the arena of intellectual ideas, you don't even want to get your hands dirty. Oh, that foul mouth. Well, how foul is it for you to circle the wagons and circle jerk each other with a bunch of people who you know are lying? Party to sin. When you participate in lies, that's why it says rebuke and refute. Bear witness, tell the truth. The Democrats are full of shit. The same people who are trying to make the same people who are trying to normalize pedophilia through the LGBTQ movement can't talk to me about moral flaws. Can't talk to me about character flaw. Can't talk to me about ethics and integrity. You're trying to make pedophilia normalized through the LGBTQ movement. You've tried to stretch the rainbow to include the most blackest, the blackest, most corrupt part of the spectrum. Wicked, pure evil. That's what you're doing. Oh, why the white man got you thinking the color black is evil? I mean, and that's the other side of the coin. You fucking fake woke, Pan-Africanists. Can't stand it. Can't stand it. Grow the fuck up. Grow the fuck up. Stop, cut the shit. If the African people weren't such sellouts, if the African leaders weren't such sellouts, they would have rejected Western civilization. They would have rejected modernity when Muammar Gaddafi was assassinated, and they would have came together and formed their own dollar like he told them to. But they didn't, because they all like the money. But it's not even the money. They like the security. They like the status quo. Everybody around the world is in on this status quo. People get out of line and they got to be put back in line. And for the most part, that's what America has done. For the most part, that's what American tax money has went to. to allow America to play peacemaker, to the deal broker, to play the world's police, bodyguard, mediator, put people back in their place when they get out of place. But that getting out of place isn't just reserved for people who do wicked and evil things, people who are corrupt. It's also reserved for people who have genuine ideas to make a difference, to change the status quo. One day it's Muammar Gaddafi. One day it's Malcolm X. One day it's JFK. Now it's RFK. Now it's Donald Trump. Then it's Ice Cube. Then it's Dave Chappelle. Then it was Joe Rogan. Even I'm a darling of the far right. I mean, these people are brazen as fuck. We got to be smarter. We got to be smarter than them. We have to stop letting them insult our intelligence. If we just stop letting people insult our intelligence with such cheap propaganda, we could save this republic. And the primary is a good sign. The primary here in Minnesota is a good sign. Donald Trump gets more primary votes than Joe Biden. That's a damn good sign. And it's a damn good sign that everything's in play. Nothing is beyond reach right now. This is a paradigm election. 2024 is a paradigm election. We need people out there more than ever preaching the truth, preaching the gospel, ministering the value of American citizenship, ministering the value of America as a nation, ministering what it means to be a country and be a citizen and have borders and have sovereignty. We just need people out there more than ever pitching the facts. Not getting caught up in the change-ups and the curveballs and the sinkers and all the other bullshit swinging in the dirt. Don't need to swing in the dirt. Rebuke and refute, though. Rebuke and refute to your heart's content. But we don't need to swing in the dirt, get caught up in these race wars. Give me a fucking break. American citizenship transcends race. Christianity transcends race. People who don't think so, people who tell it otherwise, they don't understand the ideas, and that's what this election is about. The 2024 election isn't about Joe Biden or Donald Trump. It's about the ideas. Their ideas are democracy, social justice, and climate change. Our ideas are no more debt, no more open borders, no more forever wars. Our ideas are about being humble, about shrinking down, about getting the constraints of what we can govern to a more sizable and manageable entity. Theirs is about expansion. They want to expand. They want to force the countries in Africa to accept the LGBTQ agenda. They want to force the countries in Europe to accept America or the European elites' wars, global interests. They want the entire world, the entire global citizenry to accept debt. I forgot how many. I forgot how much money there was, how much debt, bank debt there was on the entire world economy right now. It's something crazy, something ridiculous, like quadrillion. I think it's something like $4 quadrillion in bank debt. They want the entire global citizenry to accept that. And I don't even, there is no global citizenry. They want free people all around the world to accept unlimited bank debt. They being in debt, wage slaves, debt, enslaved to debt. We oppose that. And there's nothing that's nothing to be ashamed of. I'm happy. Maybe you can't tell, but I'm excited. I'm a little tired today, but I'm damn excited. I am damn excited to see that Donald Trump got more primary votes than Joe Biden in Minnesota. Right here in Minnesota, the belly of the beast. The belly of the beast, we had more primary votes for Donald Trump than Joe Biden. And you're telling me this election isn't in play? You're telling me Donald Trump can't win? Who are these people that would say such a thing? Well, where are they getting their information? Where are they getting their information? And it's only a matter of time before half of the Nikki Haley supporters catch wind of how bullshit that narrative is. And then we're really in it. And guess what? There's going to be a lot of defection. That 20% over there on the Democrat side, that 20% that say they're uncommitted, the MSNBCs just want you to believe. They just want you to believe that they're committed to a Democratic candidate except Joe Biden. We don't know that. We don't know between now and then that the uncommitteds on the Democrat side don't come over to the Republican side, don't vote for Donald Trump. We don't know that. We do not know that. We know the people who support Trump, we know they're not going to vote for Biden. We know there is no pendulum from Trump supporters to Biden. There is huge pendulum from Biden supporters to Donald Trump. This has been another episode of Please Call Me Crazy, brought to you by Free People Radio and powered by our favorite sponsor, TireGet.com. That's TireGet.com. You have to buy tires from somebody. You might as well buy them from us. Help fund the movement. Help support the movement. We believe in the freedom of movement, and that's exactly what the establishment wants to take from you now. I'm your host, Royce White, here in the belly of the beast, Minneapolis, Minnesota. Go to freepeopleradio.com, visit the store. You can buy merchandise that relates to the podcast on freepeopleradio.com. Hit the store tab, or you can go straight to freepeopleradio.store, give you full access to the same catalog. RoyceWhite.us, my Senate campaign website to unseat Amy Klobuchar. Minnesota's in play. I told people it was in play. Nobody wanted to believe me. Now the results speak for themselves. Minnesota's in play. And a lot of other places are in play as well. But we want to get an America First Senate seat here in Minnesota. And I believe Minnesota may turn red this election. Presidential. It may go red. Minnesota is in play. MSNBC was saying Minnesota was in play 9 months ago. People just weren't paying attention. They said Minnesota is very much in play. I knew Minnesota was going to be in play 2 years ago when I ran against the Uniparty here and the GOP establishment and CD5 wanted to block me from running against Ilhan Omar. I knew it was in play then. Everything is in play when you tell the fucking truth. So visit RoyceWhite.us if you want an American senator who will tell you the fucking truth. You can also listen to me Monday through Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern on the John Fredericks Radio Network. This Saturday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern before the War Room with the great Steve Bannon on Real America's Voice. We appreciate your viewership and listenership. If you're listening on the audio podcast, we hope that you weren't too inconvenienced by our hiatus, not being able to put episodes up. Those are up and running again, so we're happy that our audio platform is back up and running. And all the people who listen to the podcast on those platforms: Apple, Spotify, Amazon, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Podbean. We're happy that the Podbean platform is back up and running properly, and we definitely appreciate everybody out there who listens. We appreciate the War Room Posse. Got to give a shout out to the War Room Posse who streams the podcast every night on their Getter and Rumble page, and we get huge audiences over on the War Room Rumble page, 70 to 80,000, sometimes 100,000 views over there on Rumble. So we're very happy and thankful to the War Room, the entire War Room Posse. Grace Chong, Maureen Bannon, the great Steve Bannon for streaming the podcast. We hope to continue to expand. We love the conversation we're having. We love the feedback we're getting. We love keeping the conversation real and raw and authentic and just bringing that much needed grit to this moment in American history. It may be uncomfortable for some people. I can't tolerate the profanity. Go fuck yourself. Go fuck yourself and watch the country burn, you cuck motherfuckers. Because I'll say this again. It's my theory that the way we lost the country wasn't ass kicking Wasn't ass kicking, door kicking, uh, 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 you know, patriots. Those aren't the people who lost the country. Those are the people who the Uniparty came together to say, hey, hey, calm down. Hey, calm down. It's not that serious. Just be cordial. Just be polite. You motherfuckers lost the country. And a lot of you wrapped yourself in the faith of Christ. And above all else, I reject that. Whether you be Republican or Democrat. Don't use Christ. Don't wrap yourself in the cloth of Christ. Don't use faith to justify your corruption and your comfort with the status quo. That day is long gone. You know, you're not going to shame us for being Donald Trump supporters. And you 501c3 Christians aren't going to shame us for seeing how dire the situation is in this country and having some sense of urgency. That shit ain't going to happen. Not on my watch. The fight continues. Don't die a jerk off. And as always, Godspeed.